And this is
Bitch, let's talk.
So for Pop Tart World this week, Idris Elba and his wife, Sabrina Elba, are going to be executive producers of a new animated series called Dantai? Dantai? Dantai.
Oh.
I don't speak Japanese. But this is going to be on Crunchyroll, which is a huge, huge deal because I'm an anime watcher. To all my weeps out there, I love y'all.
Dante is not anime. That's them trying to put an anime twist on Dante. Like Travante.
I can't. Dantai. It might mean something.
Absolutely not.
It might mean something. I mean, Dante's cool too, but I can't imagine an anime show being called Dante.
Dante could have been enough.
Could it?
Yes.
On someone's good Crunchyroll.
We could be Afrofuturistic without culturally trying to tie. Like, look at the Boondocks. The Boondocks was...
No, seriously. Absolutely. Aaron McGruder did an excellent job on that, so...
They don't even watch anime.
Who?
Them.
How you know what they watch?
I gotta look at them and tell.
I don't think Sabrina watches it.
Sabrina looking at them checkbooks.
Yeah, because it's actually going through both of their production companies. I think hers is called... I don't know what it's called. Oh, so Pink Towel. And Idris's is called Green Door Pictures.
I know he's like really artistic though. Like he's into hip hop and jazz, and he's really eccentric. But I've never heard of her doing anything.
I actually don't know what she does. Do you know what she do?
I don't even think Google knows.
I just thought she was pretty,
She's
but
really beautiful.
I never knew what she has done. That's great that she has her own production company. Sis, I hope she's employing more people of color. But
Power
okay.
couple.
So yeah, the series is going to be Afro-futuristic sci-fi series that's set in the city to be with the have and have-nots on the rise of biotechnology. They don't say when it's coming out or when it's, I don't know, but they just signed the contract. And Crunchyroll is huge, and they're making so much money with anime. So I'm excited.
It's growing. It's growing over in Asia too. I think they have like their first black-owned studio.
Oh yes. They're finally doing that. And if you are a real anime watcher, you know that this is like really a big deal because we really don't have space in that department whatsoever.
And they have a lot of racial stereotypical like images in their old anime.
Baby, if you want to see something offensive, watch Dragon Ball Z.
Oh.
If you want to see something offensive, like the old school anime, I'm like, they just look like a whole bunch of jigaboos. Like it looks bad.
Can't make me watch it.
But the new stuff, it's fine. It's fine. Attack on Titans, fine. But everything else, like early 90s, where people weren't worried about how black people's thoughts and feelings mattered in that space, very, very offensive. I mean, they already canceled Pepe Le Pew, so I mean, they might as well just keep on going.
Pepe Le Pew?
Pepe Le Pew is canceled. You didn't know that?
I don't even know what that is.
Pepe Le Pew, the skunk from Looney Tunes. You don't know about that?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember? So, do you remember the Bugs Bunny?
Yep.
Elmer Fudd?
Yep.
I think Yosemite Sam?
Of course.
Okay. How you don't know about Pepe?
I don't know what that is.
So it's a skunk. I think it came out in the 60s, 70s, am I correct? I have no idea. It's when my mom was around. And he would stink or something. Clearly skunk stink. And allegedly the perfume, in order for him to get these girls, they would like pass out and he would like kiss them and stuff like that. But he had to like drug them in order for them to...
Oh.
Yeah.
Molly all in her drink.
Yeah, but it was through perfume.
Oh.
I feel like that's even worse.
Through the pheromones. Okay.
Yeah, so he's canceled. So I don't know what else is going to come down the pipeline with all these, like Dr. Seuss is canceled. Well, his 6 books are, but...
Yeah, but that's not really Dr. Seuss' fault. Like, back then, like, the Holocaust was like really big, and like that was the social norm. Like you can't really try to. I think they have a bad habit of trying to wipe history. Like they didn't need to cancel Dr. Seuss. They needed to like hold the whole era accountable.
Exactly.
A lot went on during that time.
He wasn't the only one. So really don't.
Yeah, they have a bad habit of trying to pull it away and hide it. Like, this didn't happen.
He ain't the only one. So everybody going to be in trouble if that's the case. Everybody is going to be canceled if that's... Because I really do hate cancel culture, but yeah, I can't. So we shall see. So Netflix is no longer playing with y'all, okay? They are cracking down on y'all sharing these damn passwords with your cousin, your mother, your friends, your exes, everybody. So they're going to have this new feature where you're going to have to actually prove that you are the owner of this account and you live at wherever this TV is located.
Do they not know we've been lying about our mail for years? We get our mail to like one address most of the time. That's normally grandma's house.
Baby.
That's not impossible.
Baby.
Like, we're in communication with each other.
Exactly. So this is going to be a whole thing. But the reason why they're doing this now is because of Disney Plus and all these different other streaming sites. And baby, they want the coin because of WandaVision. The Netflix, I think CEO or CFO was like, if you would have told me 2 years ago that Disney Plus would have over 60 million subscribers in almost a year, I would have thought you fucking lied. Now he's like, oh shit.
Their platform is different, and they only doing it because once Disney pulled their contract from them, they lost a lot of their viewers. But
exactly.
Disney also owns Marvel.
Exactly. So I don't understand how that man didn't see this coming.
Because he innovated something that other platforms didn't have, and what he did was he created contracts, and they learned the method, and they took it and enhanced it.
True.
So they played him.
But now Sis got a problem. So I don't know what he's going to... So now everybody's going to be cracking down. So I don't know when the alert is going to come out, but baby, you're going to get some verification emails coming through if you are a Netflix user. And if you got Lil Ray Ray in them on the account...
I'm Lil Ray Ray.
Zana's Lil Ray Ray. Oh, so y'all going to have to figure it out. Y'all going to have to come together as a collective and see how y'all going to keep sharing.
How does that work with the multiple profiles on it, though?
Yeah.
I think they're only going to do I think they said they're going to do only 5.
Okay.
Because that's normally I guess the average household, a mom, a dad, kids, and that's it. But you have to verify, if I'm watching TV, right, and then you want to use the same account, it's probably not going to work. They're going to figure a way out.
Right, but if you have 5 profiles on one account.
True.
You're watching in one room, you're watching in another room, I'm watching in another. Theoretically, people could just sell.
True.
Subscriptions.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I want to see what's going to happen, but HBO and I think Amazon and some other people were like, we're minding our good business. That has nothing to do with... You can keep on sharing, sis. You can keep on sharing. Netflix is like, nah, dog.
I mean, HBO is for the grown and sexy. They ain't got too many options right now.
They got some good shows on there.
Yeah, for people that listen to smooth jazz and go
not
to
smooth jazz. Not the smooth
cabaret.
jazz.
DC in the 90s, all right.
Baby, we shall not.
UK 30 and over club card.
I mean, Euphoria, that's a young adult show.
I actually was born in DC in the 90s, so for you to say that, that's where that's coming from inside me.
Baby. It is younger people watching some HBO Max.
What, Insecure?
I mean, that is important. The final season's coming up. That's really depressing, by the way, now that I think about that. But
it's necessary.
It's time.
You think so? I think two more seasons.
Too much it can give.
Yeah, Awkward Black Girl was really great, and to see the evolution, it's all right, this is what I needed.
I agree. I agree completely.
I don't.
Would you want another season of her and Lawrence going back and forth? You want her to be beefing with Molly again?
Well, I think, maybe this season, this will be her progressing outside of the breakthrough. Because I think this last season... Well, yeah, but now it's maintaining it because she's one of those people that's not consistent enough.
Nathan is going to be her boyfriend. We know this.
Ew, no.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Y'all don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, this whole baby thing with Condoleezza Rice, whatever her name is, Condola. What's her name?
I like her vibe. Calendula.
That's
That's a really good herb, but that's
not that's not it. It's not Condoleezza? Condola.
Hey, I really thought it was calendula.
I was really going to I thought it was Condoleezza.
But the writing at this point is, you could relive through the old seasons and it's enough.
That's true. That's true. But I'm trying to figure out, like, how did Sex in the City be able, I know, honey, clutch the pearls, because, you know, that's my show. That's the way of life.
Show.
Like, why can't we have that? Because, like, I felt the same way about I rewatched Girlfriends, and you can tell, like, it was so many different, like, holes. Like, I feel like it just wasn't consistent enough to, like, really be able to appreciate the full story. But they had so many seasons. But I'm like, you could have condensed this and just done better writing. But I feel different with Insecure. I feel like there's so much more to
I think Girlfriends, the writer took the sitcom approach, and I don't think he allowed the audience to take the cast seriously. Like, they never, the humor approach made it go flat. Sex in the City had a more mature approach to it. And
very true.
It valued character development in each of the important characters. Like, there was, like, break episodes, like, they had, like, different boyfriends, but they made sure to enforce, like, carrying big. And, like, they made you grow when they grew. Their style grew. Like, their careers grew.
So why can't we have that for Insecure?
The writers of Insecure aren't doing that.
Maybe just get a new writing team.
They have a great writing team, but they also... Insecure was their step into Hollywood. Like, that's what they needed to, like, get their portfolio up. And they took, like, a year break after the second season and started diversifying and doing different films.
Very true. We shall see. Hopefully the final season will just give me exactly what I need so I cannot be sad anymore. That's not coming back.
The end of Lawrence and Issa?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was already going to be a thing. So for him to come back, I thought that was weird. But I digress. Whatever, child. So Goldman Sachs is going to commit more than $10 billion into Black women. There's a Black women initiative called 1 Million Black Women. It's going to be named and guided for the goal. They want to impact at least 1 million Black women a year up until 2030. So this is actually, they actually have Black people on board with this. Like, this is actually created by different people on the board, such as, like, the AKAs, the Deltas, the Zetas, the Sigmas. They also have Issa Rae, as we were just mentioning. They actually do have Condoleezza Rice. Maybe that's why I was thinking about her, because, they have Valerie Jarrett and all these other different prominent Black women who are going to be a part of it. And they will be supporting Black women in different businesses if they want to do different, like, venture capital businesses, especially. So if you want to know more about that, you can look up under the 1 Million Black Women Initiative, and it kind of, like, breaks it all down. $10 million is a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, but what's the catch?
Is it over 10 years? 9 years now?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, we'll see. What do you want to say? Go ahead and say it.
I'm pretty hotep, so I'm not even going to give my comment.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Just go ahead and say it.
I just be feeling like...
What you be feeling like, sis?
In this present day and age, like, I know Black women-led businesses is, like, a thing. And since COVID, it's gotten much bigger. But I have an issue with, like, predominantly white male areas trying to overfund Black women areas.
Even when it's ran by Black people?
Ran or face-led?
I mean, that's a lot of faces.
They're not cutting a check. And that's where I don't know, because the strong Black woman narrative and, like, the divide between the Black man and Black woman, when I keep seeing Black women progress, but not the Black community, I be like, I don't trust it that much. Because I don't trust it. I just don't. Especially when some of the people on the board are not even African-American people.
Then what are they?
Some are like Issa is, like, part Nigerian. So, like, they don't understand the
Wait.
I don't think
she's
from Senegal, sis. Wait, her dad is from Senegal.
Yeah, like, she's part West African. I don't know.
But she's from here.
But part from Maryland, to be exact. But
yes.
Yeah,
Shout to us.
She don't claim us, but okay.
Oh, she really don't.
She claims California. She like Tupac. She claims California.
Don't get me started. That's a very triggering.
I'm just saying.
Because I actually went to Arena Players and they idolize that man and Jada Pinkett, and the fact that they don't even acknowledge Baltimore or support. I mean, he's dead, but she doesn't even support Baltimore in the way that she should have. And this is literally what made her who she. I won't do this today, Jesus. But we
like. I just want to see when they invest into these businesses, are they getting share and stakes in the company? Because if that's the case, they're only doing it because they know they will actually profit off of these businesses. Because there's not many Black companies in the stock market anyway.
No, that's actually very factual.
So it's like, it looks like a good idea and a good gesture, but it's really just, let's get rich off of their ignorance all over again.
But you think with even all the Black sororities that's a part of this, you really think that they would bamboozle their people?
I went to college with a couple of these sororities. They will do some things for some dollars sometimes, depending on the people. I mean, everybody not out here for Black progression that look like us. So
that's
I wouldn't
very true.
Put it past
everybody
people.
That's just kinfolk. It's definitely not your kinfolk.
See the terms and conditions.
That's what I'm saying. Yes,
that's what I gotta say.
I won't be a negative Nancy like somebody over to my left. So I hope that they're actually doing the work and actually helping. And even let's say that their initial thing was about money and they actually got people who actually care about their community. Like, use them the way people use us, but use it for the greater good. So they might start off negative, like my friend Zana here to the left. Mm-hmm. But they might, depending on who are the people selected for these businesses, they might actually be able to help their community in a positive way. So we can see.
I hope. Because look what Black Lives Matter did.
Baby, don't
ran off with the check.
I mean, just saying. To my research, the Black Lives Matter movement is not even ran by Black
because
people.
It got a Black face, but not the Black person not cutting the check.
We're not even going to talk about the person. Because I don't want them to kill me, but but
Aunt Jemima ain't the one selling the syrup,
baby, but she just the face.
Made a lot of money over the years, though. Got some longevity. just saying.
And to that point, like, I need Black people to like worry about some shit that matters. Like, I don't give a fuck about the syrup. I'm not saying that I'm a fan of it, but we have more pressing matters than worried about what the fuck you are pouring on pancakes. We have more pressing issues. People are dying. People are hungry. People need money. People need education and resources.
I mean, if Aunt Jemima was the one selling the pancake syrup, then that could have employed a lot of people in our community. Thank you.
Baby, don't just use the face. We're not mascots. We're not a fucking mascot. Okay? Well, on to more positive news because Zana just completely drained this Black.
I was going to drop it. You told me to go. I was like, I know I'm hotep.
I did. Because I believe that women should use their voice. And here we are. But for our Black Magic this week, this is actually really exciting. Former Fox anchor Karen Graham, she will be creating the first digital deaf network. She's headquartered in Atlanta. The company is called Sign One News. It provides up-to-the-minute news and information in American Sign Language, which is known as ASL. And yeah, everything is digital. It's female-owned, Black-owned. It's network affiliated with other digital news outlets. And she really wanted to make sure that there's a space for people all over the world that's hard of hearing. And the thing that's so crazy, she's not deaf. And the fact that, like, it spoke to me because your gift might not be even aligned with what your abilities or what your disabilities are. Yeah. Long as you just have the vision, you know, you will be able to help other people. So this is the first ever in the world that this has ever been created. Wow. So shut up for you, Karen.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal because I think we're so focused on issues that don't matter that we neglect other people who actually need help, and there's not enough space for them where they have enough resources. So I actually was learning ASL. I'm still trying to learn. I fell off. But when I was at the hospital, there was a deaf patient, and, you know, they had an interpreter and things of that nature. And so none of the nurses actually took the time out to learn. But the guy was only there for 12 hours. The patient needs 24-hour care. And so how are you able to communicate with the patient if they're not able to talk to you? And so I actually learned just a couple of things like, hey, my name is Sarita. Are you hungry? Are you in pain? Now, mind you, I am not a fucking nurse, so let me just put that out there. But I wanted to make sure if I'm working, because I was working doubles at the time, that I will be able to translate something, you know, to her nurse to be able to make sure she has the best care possible. And just learning those, 4 or 5 things. One of her family members came and cried. And because I was, like, learning to sign, she was signing back. And I was like, can you tell, like, asking the translator, like, can you tell me what that means so I'll learn and then I'll do it again. And I think it was her granddaughter or something like that. And she says, thank you so much for taking the time out to want to be able to communicate with my grandmother, because so many people neglect her and look at her as nothing because she's not able to hear. And so I was young then. I was like 20. And it really didn't dawn on me. I didn't think I was doing anything special. It just made sense to do something like that, to be able to create that space for somebody. But everybody don't think like me. And just hearing this story alone, it really touched me, because it's like, this Black woman did not have to create a business like this. She could have, done anything else that really speaks to other things in her life. But she went out of her way to make sure a community had space where they felt needed, and be able to understand pop culture and understand what's happening in this chaotic panorama. Zana hates what I say.
I do.
But we are in the middle of a panorama. So yeah, shout out to you, Karen. I really appreciate you creating space for others, and being able to use your voice when people are voiceless.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful. So our panel discussion for the week, we getting down and dirty today, okay? We have this beautiful, wonderful, amazing woman here. She has so many titles: psychotherapist, sex therapist, hypnotherapist, and all the other therapists in the world. Miss Desiree Robinson, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I got a lot to learn.
We're going to be sharing full circle.
Yes. Teamwork makes the dream work, as we said earlier.
Boom.
So we're just going to dive right into it, because the people don't know, what the hell is a psychotherapist?
A psychotherapist is pretty simple. It's like this umbrella term for anyone who's qualified to do therapy, right? So you could be a licensed social worker like I am, but you can also be a counselor, marriage and family therapist. So they work with the psyche, the psycho part of it, and then they're a therapist.
Yes.
There you go.
And how does that differ from you being a sex therapist?
Significantly. As a sex therapist, I have some advanced training and education and expertise in treating sexual dysfunction, couples, relational issues, and just being able to really focus on this very specific part of the world that we all do, but people really don't take the time to dive into what makes sex pleasurable, what makes our relationships really connect, or what creates a lot of tension and blocks, let's just say, to connecting.
It's a lot of blocks.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully not.
Not for me, sis, but I mean,
I was feeling inspired.
I can't. I'm blocked on purpose.
Okay, well, amen. It's not a block then.
Then I guess I won't say I feel blocked, but I'm on timeout. I've been on timeout for a while.
She's celibate.
Amen.
There's nothing wrong with celibacy.
It's not, but sometimes you just want a sprinkle of a little sprinkle, and then it's like, but is the sprinkle worth all the calories? And then it's like, no, and then I get over it, and then here we are.
Boom.
Okay. Now, to be a hypnotherapist, what does that mean?
A hypnotherapist, even though it's in the name, not everybody who's a hypnotherapist is an actual therapist, like a mental health person. So it's someone who's trained in hypnosis, which is surprisingly easy to do.
Is it?
Yes.
I have a fear of losing control, so I don't know if that's for me.
The beauty about hypnosis, we have a phrase, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It really is. I'm just a facilitator, like a pilot, right? So if you've ever been watching TV and maybe you're watching a crime show and then you fall asleep watching the crime show and you dream about it, that's the process of hypnosis, right? It's just still shaking. I'm scared. The beauty is, before anyone is relaxed to that point, we have an in-depth conversation about what's going to be said, what's going to happen. You're still awake. You're not asleep. You're still awake. It's just a level of relaxation that allows the subconscious to receive what I'm telling you, and what I'm telling you is what you've told me that you wanted.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you use like the little grandfather clock?
I do not. I do not. It's funny because when you get your little hypnosis packet, depending on whatever training institute you go to, they do give you a little pendulum that you can use.
Oh, really?
They really do.
Does that actually work?
I don't know. I just count.
Okay.
I just pick something different. Yeah.
And how do you feel like when you see that on TV, the way like all therapists, like whether it's being a psychotherapist, a sex therapist, or a hypnotherapist, how do you feel the way it's portrayed in TV and film?
You know, honestly, I don't have a big attachment to TV or film, right? Because depending on what it is, I know it's not real, right? Or
Right.
I know that it's been sanitized to a degree. I want to say Dr. Ish. I'm not a fan of him.
Who?
Dr. Ish. He's on like the marriage boot camps
Oh, yeah.
They got marriage boot camps.
Is he real?
on VH1.
Yes. But,
No, I don't
the
watch TV.
D-list. So this is with like the D-list celebrities. So like Waka Flocka's girlfriend and like I don't know, Flavor Flav and it's like random D-list celebrities.
It actually used to be really good though when that couple was running it. Like they that was their curriculum, their program. For some reason
They got popular in the monies.
I mean, well, they were much better than Dr. Ish, and then they had Dr. V on at one point, and then they kicked her off. I don't know. That kind of stuff I'm not impressed with.
Right.
So are they like studies? Because I've watched like Married at First Sight and those type study type shows.
It's more like a big brother / competition kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think all that stuff
not
is
missing
weird.
So they just trying to get paid, trying to pay that rent.
It really did used to be really good, but as they started to appeal to a more urban market, in my opinion, it kind of got trashed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It got real dramatic.
So what about I think I'm gonna mess her name out. Iyanla.
Oh, Iyanla fixed my life.
How do you feel about her?
Listen, most therapists do not like Iyanla.
Why?
I love her.
Iyanla.
I love her.
I love her. People don't understand that. First off, I don't know for sure, but I believe she's a priestess. So that's the first.
I do too.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, she's also very much this Christian. She's a coach. She's a lawyer. She has her own thing. So what she's doing is not therapy.
Yeah.
And I remember I was looking at one of her older episodes, and I was like, she's doing Reiki with this person.
Yeah.
You know, so when people are like, oh, well, she's doing this stuff, it's too dramatic. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, it's a TV show. So there are some things that are a little bit aggressive that weren't too great in the first season.
Yeah.
But the information, in my opinion, was good information. And in like 2-3 days, she has to push people to be in a space of change. And that's the biggest difficulty or hurdle is when people want help, but they're not willing to release the things that are keeping them in that cycle.
Yeah, it's weird because I think when I watch those type of shows, I'm always like, one, is your license active? Because Dr. Phil license hasn't been active in about 20 years.
No.
So like some stuff I'm like, this is completely fake. And then in some moments I'm like, oh, they're getting to a place. They're going through a breakthrough. But the thing about her is that I feel like she doesn't get enough credit. And then like these bullshit people that's on VH1 and like the Dr. Drews of the world. I know he's highly respected, but no.
Oh, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Yeah. I really don't care for how he deals with the 16 and 1 girls. 16 and pregnant young ladies. He's very condescending, but then when you saw him on like the rehab shows, he was a very different person.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Yeah, it feels
I
like
agree.
he capitalizes off 16 and pregnant, and they really do need a lot of support.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Like that's like that shit is real. The 16 and pregnant, like that's real. Like going through that in high school, like that's not faking. Like
I seen one of them at a gas station when I was in college. Yeah, I went to Penn State and I was going to like University
random.
Park, and it was at like a random gas station. One of the girls.
Were they filming?
No, she was just out.
That's
It was,
random as hell.
years
Yeah,
ago.
well, I guess.
So I know they're not faking. They live ordinary lives.
Yeah.
She looks stressed.
I would be stressed too if I was a teenager and had a damn child. Mm-hmm. I'm stressed now. I don't even got no damn child. So I can only imagine what that is like.
Yeah. But then they had all that stuff around them. Like, okay, so then your baby daddy kind of trifling. He doesn't help. Your mom wants to kick you out. Like, they had a lot of stuff going on.
They did.
And he really didn't have anything to offer them, in my opinion, in terms of, like, support.
But that's what makes Iyanla so precious is, I think, one, in the brief psychology background I have, is there isn't much understanding of the black psyche.
Yes.
And I know that Iyanla understands the language of the black man and black woman. And when she speaks to them, she comes from this, like, grandmother, elder approach. But it was this one episode I watched where this man, he was carrying the weight of his past on him. And she put, like, this bulletproof vest on him and, like, clamped all these weights on it. And he had to, like, blindly, like, take them off and, like, drop the weight off of himself. And as much I knew that wasn't, like, actual I guess, study or, like, real principle, the fact she came up with it and she knew exactly what she was doing, like, a lot of it come from her own wisdom.
Yeah, that's true.
People don't respect it because they so book taught.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she has, like, PAs or someone who comes up with some of the exercises, you know. But I think what you said is really spot on, this idea that how do you prove to someone that weight is actually not a strength just because that's what we've been taught? Like, you don't have to do this because it's actually dragging you down. It's not doing what you think it's going to do. And so that's the stuckness I'm talking about. We don't even realize how much stuff is just internalized, how much stuff we're conditioned to believe and to do until it's not working for us anymore. Right. And that's when a lot of problems come up.
And back to 16 and pregnant, I want to ask you, like, what would you recommend in your profession? Like, if a child, let's say my child was pregnant at 16, would you recommend sex therapy for them, or would you recommend just regular, counseling for them?
Probably family therapy.
Okay.
Because if they're pregnant, that family unit's about to change significantly. And so whatever is the most immediate concern, I would think is most appropriate. Sex therapy, they're already kind of pregnant. And that would be a better place for, like, sex education. That's why we need more policy and reform around that, as opposed to this abstinence only. That does not work. And most of those young ladies, they end up pregnant again, like 2-3 years later.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this idea of sex is really not helpful in terms of however they've been taught.
Where do you think that comes from, though? This whole, like, especially in the black community, we're like, don't come back pregnant. They don't teach your kids about using condoms or STDs. They really rely heavily on the school. Some of them don't. Some of them, like, I don't even want my child to know about this. It's just like, don't have sex. The end. That's your sex talk.
It's fear. It's a lot of fear. And I think if you look at generations, you can kind of see why that happened, right? How many people were teenage mothers themselves? How many people had to use sex for survival? Maybe you're not in a great situation. And so now it's kind of like, well, how am I going to take care? There's also a big moral judgment with youth and sex. You're fast, you're this, you're that, you're trying to steal my man.
Oh, Lord.
And it's super common. That's the thing. So sex really means something, even if we don't say it. There's this connotation of what sex means, what virginity means.
What does that mean?
Man. Are you kidding? Oh my God, virginity. It means that you're pure, you're good, you're clean, right? I've met plenty of people who have been in a relationship with someone for a long time, and then they found out that prior to being together, they had sex with someone else. And all of a sudden,
oh my God. Oh God, and we clutched the pearls, and we're going to be weak and die.
But that's the thing, is that we're looking for this belonging in so many ways, and all of these things that are attributed to how we operate influence that. And if you're seen as dirty, you've got this scarlet letter, then that's what you are in your community.
I got the scarlet letter and I wasn't even fucking yet, so I just think I don't know, like, just growing up, and I talk about this on the show before, just developing too fast, and realizing I didn't even realize that I look like a woman. This is just my body. I don't know what actually is happening right now. Me having a cycle at 10 years old, how the hell am I supposed to know? I mean, I knew, thank God I knew, but like I don't know what's happening. You know that, once the cycle happens, that means you are liable to get pregnant. But who the hell is thinking like that at 10 years old? I'm just trying to go outside and mind my good black business. I don't know about all this good. I don't know. And so like when you wear children's clothing, and then people will say like, oh, you look too grown. Baby, this is children's place. I don't know what else you want me to do, because now I'm a B cup. Now I'm starting to get a little hip on me. It's not my fault you gave me KFC and McDonald's. It's got hormones. It's stuff in it. So I don't really know. So I struggled in my youth and as a teenager, because I knew that I kind of like forced myself to grow up because I wanted my mind to match my body. And I didn't know what that actually meant. So of course I'm using the outside world as an example, and that's never the choice. That is never a good choice. So I made a lot of terrible decisions because I didn't know what to do. And it's funny now that I look back on this, and I talked to this about a friend of mine, and he says, you realize that a lot of the stuff in America, especially, a lot of the stuff is deep rooted in pedophilia. And it's like, I was like, why would you say that? He said, why do you think, he says, when you think of something sexy, what's the first thing you think of? A schoolgirl. But when you think of a schoolgirl, they're children. It's not like a sexy adult schoolgirl what comes to mind. Like the pigtails and the skirt, like those outfits are things you normally get in like middle school and younger. So it's like, when I think about it, and people will look at me, and I'm like, why would people say like, oh, you need to watch out for her? When she get a, and it's like, how are you already thinking like that as a grown man, and you already have this, and as a woman, it kind of makes me uncomfortable. It makes me cringeworthy now when people say like, oh, well, she's starting to fill out. You gonna have to, because now I'm thinking like, well, what you really thinking about to even have that come out of your mouth? Are you attracted to this child? That's why you say it, because in the future you might be feeling some kind of way. You know that this child is looking like you already liking it right now, and you just waiting for the legal limit.
That's a catch-22, because pedophilia is very specific, but I get the gist of what your friend is saying. It's this whole youth-driven thing, right, where it's like the younger, the more whatever the frame, right? But then that catch-22 comes because when a child starts to develop earlier, they're actually developing into what we conceptualize as an adult body. So in that way, it's kind of like, yes, it's a sexualization, but it's also this idea that as you fill out, it's going to mean something you have no control over.
Right.
But because your body is doing that, we automatically think that, oh, okay, you're ready or wired for sex. And that's just not the case.
Very true.
Yeah.
I think that with sexuality and like the discussion of it, though, we ultimately just go straight to the bedroom aspect of what sexuality is. And I think growing up, if I would have known that sexuality was more than just me having sex or interacting sexually with guys, it would have made a big difference, because I didn't even learn properly how you're supposed to interact with the opposite sex or anybody sexually, or how to create my own sexuality. Because to create a sexuality is to create your own like identity and how you interact with the world, ultimately, not just in a bedroom. And we spent more time like suppressing it, that we created ultimately like this perversion culture of like repressed sexuality, or like this pornographic sexuality in the bedroom. And Zimbardo, he's a psychologist, he talks about arousal addiction. And he talks about how a lot of guys personally suffer with, I guess, arousal addiction, whether it's video games or like pornography, because they spend a lot of time in isolation learning their sexuality, not interacting with the opposite sex, or like they're not really around female counterparts. They're like in groups with other boys and like football teams, so they're not really learning how to express themselves truly. And I think that sexuality has to be discussed more than just poking each other or
not a poke. That don't sound fun.
No, but that's real. What you're hitting on is this idea of really what's socialization, right? How do we interact with people? How do we find our identities through those interactions as opposed to what's handed down or just what's told to us, right? Arousal hits that reward center of your brain, and it really kind of reinforces this, oh, I want more, right? So anything that's like a adrenaline, like a roller coaster, flirting, that beginning part of a relationship, a big part of that is chemical, right? So we just kind of learn how to get that chase going, but after that, it's like, oh, what now? How do we connect, right? And so a lot of it is this idea of, first off, dating, right? So people have gotten away from dating as well.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And even I was watching this IG of a pastor and his wife, and they were talking to their daughter about dating, and they were like, we would really prefer that you date now while you're under our household, so we can talk to you, we can talk to the young man, you can come to us. And I was really touched by that, because I was like, man, my dad was basically like, look, keep your pants up, keep your skirt down. And that's it. That's the moral of the story. That's it. But dating, how to flirt, how to talk to people, how to socialize, that's just something we're expected to understand. And really, you got a lot of people who are awkward and don't know how to do it. We just demand, and we're invasive about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what tips would you give on that? Like people who are more introverted and more socially awkward, who are struggling internally of what that looks like. So
yeah, first you got to figure yourself out, right? And I hate to make that sound super broad, but it's like at some point in time, admit it. You're socially awkward. I had to admit that to myself. I'm socially awkward.
You are?
I am.
Where, sis?
I am.
Where?
I had to admit it to myself, because then it was like, when you go to places, you can't hang out on the wall and expect people to tend to your needs.
Exactly.
You have to initiate conversations. So once you start to just lean into what it is you're about, where your deficits might be, we now have a pathway where we can do something about that.
Right.
Right. But if you're just like, oh, I don't know where my friends are, my man is, I don't know either, friend. Good question, right?
We all want to know.
Yeah. And then once you figured yourself out, you have to discern what is the caliber of partner that you want, and then you take nothing less than that.
And people don't realize that's a form of sexuality, like learning how to keyword insert yourself into social environments. A lot of people wasn't allowed to insert themselves in adult conversations or a household that repressed them in many ways. So when they meet people as an adult, they don't know how to put themselves out there, basically put themselves on the platter of the social world. But dating as an adult is so hard for most people nowadays.
It's ghetto here. It is ghetto here. It is ghetto.
It teaches you boundary, and it teaches you your needs, and it teaches you how to command a room to work in your favor.
I think healthy dating, yes, to your point, yes, healthy dating, but the way this 2021 foolishness is set up, like
everybody's scared.
It's not even just fear. It's just, I think it's a culmination of things. I think some people just, with internet dating and social media, it's just so much. Like, it's so many options. There's so many different things. And it's like, you don't really have to ground yourself into anything. You can just play. Like, you can play with people. You can play doing different things and do whatever the hell you want, and fear that there's really no consequences, because, like, if things don't work out, I'll just get another person.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. For people who are learning how to flirt.
Oh, God.
Let me say my piece, and let's see if it'll be meet in the middle or something, right? For people who are learning how to flirt and talk to people, that's my encouragement. Be on your apps and talk, chat. See how it's like, right? Just do that.
Right.
Especially if it's not your skill set. Have fun, flirt. Should probably define flirt. Enjoying yourself and then inviting other people into your good time.
Yes.
Right?
Come on, definition.
You gotta say something. All right. Now, we have to consider, what is it that we want to date for?
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, because really, I keep telling this to all my folks.
Thank you.
Online dating was already kind of rough, but it was a thing. But now that we're in a panorama.
Thank you.
It's getting much better.
No, everybody's on there.
It's oversaturated. You feel like
bored.
Yeah.
People
Okay.
are bored.
Yeah.
So even though you don't have to go on dates though to figure out if this person's for you.
Thank you.
If they don't have a fully filled out profile, don't do it. If your message blocks are bigger and longer than theirs are, don't do it.
Listen.
Yeah.
This is the lesson of self-value and the kind of caliber you're willing to invite, and then you accept nothing less. That's the thing. People keep accepting less.
Come
they
on.
want a date. They want to boo. Cuffing season. We just finished that. We're going into a different kind of place, right? But it's these little things where self-value, we will sell ourselves out so fast for what we think we should be doing, which is being partnered, as opposed to being able to say, we can have multiple partners either in the moment through our lifetime, and we don't have to just glom on to the first one.
Yes. Absolutely.
Everything you're saying.
Everything.
See?
Everything you're saying.
I told you, just
I'm
meet
with
in
you.
the middle.
I'm with you.
See, I'm learning that now, because in the past I wasn't the nicest of people, and so I would treat people really bad, and I would use them, not because I actually wanted to date them. It was just I just wanted to conquer someone. It was a power thing for me. It was an ego boost for me. I already apologized to all the people that I've hurt in the world. So, but at the same time, as I'm getting older, and people are like, oh, well, you're pretty. You have all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but I need to be grounded in what I truly want. And I need to figure out who I am first before I start worrying about who I'm going to be partnered with. And I think people try to partner in the midst of trying to figure themselves out. And then they expect the person that they're with to figure them out. And it's like, baby, you don't even know who the fuck you are. So how you expect me to figure this out?
I don't know how I feel about that no more. I used to always be the person like, you have to figure yourself out first type thing. But I'm realizing it's not that you need to figure yourself out like as a person individually. You need to understand how you interact with every other relationship around you first. Like people don't have proper understanding of the roles people play in their life already. Like they don't understand the parent-child relationship, the brother-sister relationship, the friends dynamic. And a lot of people overextend or push away all those relationships first, and then they isolate themselves, and now everybody want a relationship, but they've ruined every other one in their life. Yeah. Because who you going to talk to in a relationship is hard. Who is going to give you their blessing when you want to get married? Like, these relationships are important.
You're both right. You're both right. There is a co-regulation that has to happen, and it has to happen across your life, right? Where there's this internal validation and observation, and then this external engagement with our environment. That is the greatest motivator of human behavior, is the need to belong, right? The issue is we live in this Western society, and it happens all over the world, but I live here. I know here, right? Where we become conditioned to not trust our gut. We are really taught not to value ourselves or to value somebody else above us. So we're really taught some poor lessons, and we take it on because that's how we learn how to survive, right? That's how we learn how to, if I shake my body this way, somebody will talk to me, right? If I don't make waves, I won't get hit.
Come on.
If I close my mouth, maybe they won't come to my bedroom anymore.
Baby.
Right? So it's all these ways that we've learned how to be, and it causes real issues. And at some point in time, socially, relationally, and at some point in time, we have to recognize that there's some healing that has to happen. Yeah.
Yes, that's very important.
The beauty is, the language that I embrace is that we have these necessary and creative coping mechanisms. We had to develop it to figure out how to be, right? But once you recognize that that doesn't work for your adult self, your 5-year-old self really cannot operate the way you want as an adult, then we can kind of say, ooh, how do I rewire this? And everything's going to shift, because whoever you attracted was attracted to your 5-year-old self.
Baby.
Not in a pedophilic way.
Right.
But the dynamics attracted each other. And so unless they're willing to grow too, that's why I say you're both right. You should be figuring out yourself, and there's room to grow. And if you have a partner who's also willing to be on that journey,
absolutely,
even better. Yeah.
But the question is, like, when it comes to sex, what are some other reasons why do you think that some people are so willing to give themselves up on a platter, essentially? And they might not necessarily want the pleasure of sex, but one, they're not even having a real orgasm. They're just, they want to just be connected to someone. But in the end result, it didn't even get what it was supposed to give. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you wanted that person's attention. You had sex with them, but the sex wasn't even great. So what was the point of that?
Oh, I mean, you said it though.
You want to be connected to someone.
You know, I always ask people, what is the function of sex for you? Because I don't want to assume that sex is what I say it is just because I'm the sex therapist, right?
Right.
So for some people, it's connection, it's attention, it's you love me. Sex can mean so many different things. So if in your cost-benefit analysis, having someone that you can call your boo, you can say you're connected, I don't care who doesn't believe me, marriage and relationships are really a social luxury. Like, you're seen as something or someone when you're connected to another person. So that's another thing.
Yes.
too, right? So there's all of these reasons why people might want to do sex that are not related at all to pleasure at all. Yeah.
I have a question. So, in my sex life, it's real new to have the sex talk. Like, in my past, I'm just used to doing it, and like, it feels good, and I'm pleased. And this is the first time where I'm seeing someone, and like, we're always discussing like sex, like, what do you like? And I'm always the one that felt like I had to be pleased. So now that I'm learning how to give sexually, because sex for me is like an expression of love. Like, if I love you, just touch me. And so now I just wanted to know, like, how important is it to discuss sex? Because it's actually helped me a lot. So I want to hear your take on the sex talk.
Yes.
No, you're so wonderful. Thank you for asking. Both of you are awesome. So I'm doing a ton of research right now because I'm in my pre-dissertation phase.
Baby, we about to get our Dr. Desiree. Okay? Come through.
Right. And so a big part of sexual self-esteem and poor sexual self-esteem is sexual communication. A lot of people are not communicating. They're just doing sex. They're doing relationship. And so I'm a big fan of talking things out. And when you talk, making sure that what I say, you receive what I said the way I meant to say it. Because, I thought that meant da-da-da. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
We make these mini mistakes all the time. So first off, being really centered and present and ensuring that we're understanding each other is key, right?
Right.
Now, people can overtalk sex. People can overtalk sex. So don't forget to play.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you're like, I like this, I like that. You can simply guide your partner, and it doesn't have to be about sex. That's the thing with a lot of our exercises is we say it's not about sex. It's not about orgasm. It's that journey where you're learning yourself and you're learning your partner. And that also increases intimacy. Eye contact.
Isn't that tantric sex?
Favorite. Really? I don't know much about tantric sex.
I
but
love
that's my
tantric. Yes.
I mean, we got the expert here. Come through. What?
Tantra, well, there's different lineages of tantra. There's a lot of neo-tantra right now, but to make it in its most simplest form, tantra is a form of yoga, right? And really it's about union. Union of two spirits reflected in the union of bodies. And you can even just do tantric breathing. If you just breathe with your partner at the same time on a physiological level, it innervates, right? So we're bringing more blood flow to the body, more relaxation to the body, which allows us to connect deeper. It tells the mind and your parasympathetic nervous system, everything's good, we're cool, and so it really aids in these other hormones from your mind that are kind of like, this is good, I like it, let's do this again, right? So for me, it's really amazing when people can slow down and be in that space, right? And not focus on orgasm or squirting, but just to kind of be like, I'm here with you in this moment. Yeah.
But you can have an orgasm from that. Am I correct?
You can have an orgasm from anything. You really can.
That's very true.
But we have to say what contributes to that orgasm.
Very true.
Is it just stimulation, or does your heart feel full? Do you feel super connected to your partner in that moment? Do you feel safe?
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to all the people out here having sex but don't feel safe, because that's a real thing.
That is a real thing.
Creates neural pathways in your mind about how you have sex, and that has to be unlearned at some point in time. That's my desire for people, that it's unlearned and you can feel safe.
How do you have because I've been in situations where I dealt with guys and I was not happy with the end result. And I had a conversation, and of course, they're like, other women didn't tell me this. I'm like, that bitch lied too. So,
I've been there.
You know what I mean? So, how can you nicely, because male ego is really a thing, and I'm not trying to offend, I'm trying to help you out, bruh. But what you're doing was not it. So what are some friendlier ways to be able to express, like, hey, I was not satisfied, and you can do this, 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 and this, without him feeling like, oh my God, I'm the worst lay ever, or he feels the need to put me down and compare me to other women because now his ego is fractured.
Yeah, I would definitely say that part of that is the person, right? Because ideally, when we're in right relationship with someone, they can hear, they can digest. But even when we're in right relationship, you're right, the ego is fragile. People get into their defensive spaces, right? I probably wouldn't encourage the articulation of not being satisfied. That part I probably would not do because it's going to launch them into their defensive spaces. We know that, right? So the way that I always phrase it is you want to wrap the thing you want to see differently in something like bacon or chocolate, and we do that with appreciation. I really enjoy being with you. Oh, I love the time that we spend together. And the next time that we blase blah, I would like to try this.
Ooh, can I give a recommendation?
Oh, go.
One thing that I've did recently is I asked, what do you wish I did more of? And then when he expressed it, I was like, oh, I'm not satisfying him in this area. And then he asked me the same question, and I told him, and then we kind of rated each other. In that department. And I was like, oh.
That's intense.
Yeah. And I was like, what exactly did I do wrong? And he just like, you do it with an attitude. And I was like, because I don't like it, and I didn't want to tell you. And then that
I know
changed my
exactly
whole
what she's talking about.
of it, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. I've gotten better.
And that's what's up. Sometimes I'm always going to encourage people to have conversations in a specific way, right?
Right.
But sometimes we have the conversations and we end up where we need to end up. We land where we need to land. The thing is, how do we end up where we don't have to hate it or feel badly or think that we did something wrong as opposed to who's going to actually use their voice to say, I would like this.
Right.
It's the stuff that we don't say that gets us in trouble. And
baby,
that's my biggest thing. If any of my people are listening, y'all know. It's not that we're all liars, but we're all liars. We're all liars. And as soon as we can admit that, we can say it's not because we're just these bad people. It's because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings.
Yes.
We don't want to rock the boat. And so we fudge a lot of stuff in order to prevent any bad recourse. When really, we can just speak our truth, but it's the way you say it.
Right.
Especially to someone you have an intimate relationship, whether it's casual or not. You can still be kind.
And what about the level of intimacy? Because I hear this from a lot of married men, and it's always like, my wife no longer have sex with me, or a girlfriend, she might have experienced some type of sexual trauma, so now she lacks that level of intimacy, and so the man might feel the need to cheat, or you know what I mean, because he's not being satisfied. And so how would you go about that? Because I always hear about the wife, she don't pop that thing like she used to, and now the man is ready to stick his penis in whatever slot that's available so he can release whatever tension he might have.
Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
Isn't that fascinating? You would rather get your sexual needs met than tend to what's happening in your relationship and what's fractured there. Yeah. That's actually a really common thing, right? As people grow, they shift, they change. And a lot of women will tell you when their emotional needs are met, they're more willing to have sex. And men are a bit more physical, right? And this is just really common in the field of sex therapy. Men are like, if I can get more sex, I can tend to your emotional needs. Women are like, if I get my emotional needs met, I can get more sex.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's where the idea of partnership comes in, respect comes in, tuning into your partner comes in. And a lot of people are not willing to do that work. And that's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate.
It is work. But also, as we grow, we evolve, right? And so you have to get to know yourself as an evolved being and your partner as an evolved being. Yeah. One of the people who I love attending her trainings sometimes, she always said...
Not all the time, baby.
I never get the full picture. I'm like, I can't keep paying for all these trainings, girl. But anywho, she talks about how she's in love or learning the 29th version of her husband. And that always touches me because it's this admission that they are different people, and every single time you have to get to know this different person if you desire to be in a relationship with them.
I always misunderstood, like, because I always hear like people fall in and out of love with each other, and so when I was younger and I would hear that, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you love the person, you love the person forever. But when you think of evolution, you know, who I was 5 years ago is not who I am today. And so, yeah, you might not have loved that version of me. I might not even love that version of me, but you might love this version of me now. But outside of love, what keeps that glued together in order to stick around for each new person that you come across through their evolution?
In a healthy relationship, I would definitely say trust. Right. I would say intention. Like, what is the point of keeping the relationship? Too often it's, we have kids, we're financially intertwined, and those are real, but it's also kind of like, but what are y'all doing? Right. What is that? Right. And I think it's also this idea of when something's wrong with my partner, kind of everything stops. We stop tending to our relationships like we do in the beginning when it's fresh and it's fun, because life is hard.
Life is hard. Life is hard as fuck.
Life is hard. And then you add kids and bills and hormones and aging, and things start to shift around. But you have to say, what's happening to me as a person during those seasons? Yeah. And what's happening to my partner?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Friendship.
You
That's
said
it.
the word. Thank you so much.
Friendship.
A lot of people don't have that, though.
A lot. Maybe I shouldn't say a lot. There is research that supports that when people are friends, usually when they're going through tough times, they revert somewhat to that friendship space. So if you don't even have that built up in the foundation of your relationship, it's quite a bit harder.
Yeah.
And we didn't even forgot even to mention religion. What does your religion say? What do your family say? What does your culture say about being married and breaking up and fear of not wanting to start over, etc.?
Yeah, a lot of women I know battle with that.
Yeah.
Like dragging dead relationships. A man cannot even be present right now, and in their mind, he's coming back.
Lord
Jesus.
Jesus.
Woman. So I know how bad that is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Or it's, you know, I was in a situation and a guy told me like, oh, I don't want to divorce my wife because that's not of God. And I'm like, well, cheating isn't either according to text. So you might as well just let it go, baby, because it definitely isn't one of them commandments that say, stop cheating. So I'm confused. They use this rhetoric to kind of like explain one thing and just kind of dismiss another thing. Baby, just say you don't want it because, I don't know, it's cheaper to keep her. But don't blame it on God and say, okay, I can't get a divorce because God said no, but you cheat.
I'm no theologian, but what I know is two things expressly forbidden by the Bible is adultery and murder.
Yeah.
You can divorce. You absolutely can. And also, let me not do a soapbox, okay?
No, baby. We already let Zana do it, so you might as well just
the Bible.
Let the bullets fly.
The way that religion has been made is really with this conqueror ideology, right? It's really based off of who have we conquered? What have we taught people to believe? We really cannot have more than one set of beliefs under one religious structure, right? So that's the biggest thing, is to start learning, what does the science actually say that differs from religion? What does your culture say that informs how you view religion? What does the Bible or any other supporting documentation, because the Bible is not it, right? Rev Beverly Dale, she's so brilliant, and Reverend Lisette Cross, I have to shout those two out because they're the ones who taught me that you had to have, I think it was 2 Nicene creeds just to figure out who Jesus was.
Baby.
Right? It's not just the Bible. There's a lot of politics that goes into religion and how we all practice it. So this idea of people quoting the Bible is very, very unfortunate because they don't really know about the Bible and what went into that and the story and the metaphor. But we certainly do use it to either defend or detract from what we want attention on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you deal with that, though? Like, if you're in a relationship and that's what they're using to defend the foolishness, as a therapist, how do you separate that? Because to me, I feel like it's a form of delusion at some point. Like, I feel like it's not making sense.
Yeah.
So how do you bring it back to earth, sweetie? How do you do that?
No, it is not a delusion, to be fair. It goes back to belonging. It goes back to the need to belong, right? And so I need to know, what do you want from me and what do you want from this relationship? And I make it clear what is not available, and then I give you the choice to decide what you're going to do with that. So my job is really just clearing out some of the stuff. And so I have 2 hands, you have 2 hands, and we have some options. What makes you feel most comfortable? And if being in this relationship that you know is not a love relationship, that you know is not this forever relationship in terms of your connection, that's fine. I have no attachment to that, right? But my job is to really debunk this idea, like you were saying, that he's coming back to you this full force way if he's not showing up. Like, what evidence do we have to support that this is going to go?
Claim.
Right. But you'll be surprised how much people really rely on the negative evidence to reinforce certain things, except relationships, I notice.
Yeah.
About themselves, but their partner, never.
I got the best advice from a homeless man in Mount Vernon one time.
Okay.
And he was really, really wise. He was a Scorpio.
Shout out to all the Scorpios.
And he told me,
November preferably.
I was in love with this guy that was just very bad for me. And he told me, you're so deluded in what you feel for him that a good man could walk right in front of you and you won't even see it because you're too busy intellectually masturbating yourself.
Baby, the homeless man done dropped that on you.
He used to drag me to filth.
Baby.
Okay.
Shout out to that homeless man.
And he said, you have to learn how to use your common sense. That's all you need in love.
That's if you got it.
If you, baby.
I ain't have it, but when he said it, I learned how to use it.
And that's a choice, right? That's a choice that you kind of said, oh, that's a word that struck me a certain kind of way. I'm going to go with that. Not everybody goes with it.
Nope.
Right? That's the thing.
Some people try to bring me back from the tide a lot of times. And baby, I just jumped in high tide, no lifeboat, no buoy, no nothing. And now I'm mad because I drowned and people were there to like help me. But I had to get that water in my lungs in order to understand, because now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand that now. But sometimes, you know, they say a hard head make a soft behind. Baby, this thing is super, super soft, because baby, I learned the hard way.
But you know what? You bring up a really good point. I saw somebody say this. It was on the internet. That's why. But I heard somebody say that she said a lot of y'all, it's clear that y'all didn't have somebody in your life, an older person, to put you on their game. And I was like, oh,
you need an OG.
It's the truth, but that's true, right? I can remember my mom, one of the biggest tips of advice, she was like, always have your own cab fare. Right. If you go out on a date or something, before Uber was a thing, if you ever get lost or stranded, have your own money so you can get back home.
Absolutely.
I don't think people get taught these lessons anymore.
No.
Instead, we get this fear-based stuff. We get this, if you want to be grown, you figure it out kind of stuff, as opposed to what are the life lessons that support resilience.
Or listen to Steve Harvey, but
I don't go unless I got money for my own food. Like, if I can't pay for myself, I don't go on a date just in case.
Just prepare.
You know, but also, like, how do you tend to yourself? How do you care for yourself? Like, I wonder how many people learn how to shave, right? Even basic stuff like tending to your body.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? We have to be taught. Just because little people are people doesn't mean they grow into adults without nurturing. And a lot of people don't get that nurturing, especially around their bodies, especially around sex, especially around development and what it means to be an adult.
Yeah, I didn't really have a talk. My mother just brought me a lot of books, and thank God I love reading. But if I wasn't a reader, those books would have just collected dust, and I would be none the wiser. But I forgot what the book was called, but it actually talked about, it was like growing breast. And so I just recently saw this book on Facebook too. I can't remember what it was called, but it was so pivotal in my life. I was 8 years old, and she was like, here, I want you to read this book, and kind of like shyly walked away. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I want you to read this book, and I kind of want you to like really read it though. And it had these pictures, and it talks about, okay, what are budding breast? What is your nipple? What does it mean to have a labia and a clitoris and all these things? Now, baby, I'm 8, so some of these Latin words, I didn't know what the hell I was saying, but they had the little picture, so I'm like, okay, this is this, this is this. And it talks about armpit hair, talked about pubic hair, talked about little boys. And it actually prepared, like when I came on my cycle at my father's house, and that man almost died. My mother was on the reserve, so he was watching me. And I was like, Dad, can you just take me to the store to get a pad? And he's like, wait, you know what to do? And I was like, yeah, Mom gave me a book. He's like, wait, what? No one filled me in. And I was like, did you want to be filled in? He was like, nah, you're right. Let's just go to Walgreens. So, I mean, I'm grateful for that tool, but I really wished that she would have had a sit-down conversation with me, because I just kind of feel like that connection as far as that nurturing part, it was really missing. And once again, children will get the wrong information from other stupid kids, and Lord knows where they got that information from. So we have these blind kids leading more blind kids, and adults not being comfortable enough to talk about sexuality. And that's not even really about like sex. That's just basic science of you knowing your body. And I'm a big advocate for like, stop calling stuff that's not like real stuff, like your fanny and your knickknacks, and like, don't teach your child that like it's a vagina, it's a penis. Like, it's okay for them to use those words, because God forbid if something was to happen to them and they tell a teacher like, hey, someone touched my knickknacks, they're going to think you're talking about fucking Cheetos. They're not going to think that you're talking about genitalia. So like, I really, adults listening, people who want to have kids, you know, I really want, and especially Black people, encourage you to talk to your children, because they don't know, and the information they will get is from sources you don't want them to get it from. So what other source than you?
Real talk.
Pornhub.
Please.
TikTok, IG, you know, this is 21st century sex ed, and the internet is everything now.
Pornhub is not the way. No. Not the way. Not an adult life. Children, I don't care what age. Don't learn from porn. I can't.
There are benefits to porn. That's a whole other conversation.
Wait, what's the benefit? Besides the orgasm bit.
Again, depends on how you're using the porn.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But porn can certainly invite you to experience fantasy. I don't want to say it can give you ideas, but it certainly can allow you to kind of say, all right, what is the essence of what I'm really wanting more of? Especially if where else are you going to learn? From message boards, from your friends? That's right. So there might be.
Baby, go have a blackboard conversation on there.
Not a blackboard. Get my little webinar going on the benefits of porn. But porn can have a lot of really good benefits depending on how you use it. That's an everything thing. You can be addicted to anything in this world. Yeah.
My personal experience, if you want to use some of them Jackie Chan moves that you seeing on Pornhub, try it in your bedroom first before you try it on another person. That's all I'm going to say. That's my only PSA. Just try it out first. If it's possible, if you can do it by yourself first, just to make sure you're flexible, just to make sure, you know, this actually makes sense before you just try it on somebody and you didn't ruin somebody else's life. Just, you know, just try to work it out first if you've never done it before. That's all I ask.
Start easy with the busted challenge. Start light. Work on getting down there and holding it.
What's the other one? The red light challenge.
Oh yeah, but you know they found a way to you know, the perverts. They found a way for you can see the person naked now.
He got a lot of time on their hands.
Too much time. I'm like, can't you just appreciate the silhouette?
I think about that sometimes, though, how people can probably undigitize whatever you've tried to cover up.
And they do.
That's a random thing.
Disturbing.
Yeah, everything doesn't go on the internet. I'm sorry. Everything doesn't go on the internet. That's all.
Wow.
That's true. But even if you do send it to somebody, somehow your ass still end up on the damn internet. So you got to just be careful who you trust and be careful who you're with.
I like sending photos.
Yeah, but you trust that person.
It's so beautiful to do that.
It is. And
I don't want no pickle prints.
I don't want that either. But I mean, like, if you see me, like, you know, like a full body, like, woman, this all yours photo. Shout out to my man. I like those pictures.
Yes. I mean, those are nice. But I feel like for men, it's harder because they just have a dick. Like, it's just, they don't really have a true, like, I feel like women's bodies and just women in general are so beautiful. Like, different angles, different curves, different.
You don't think the male body beautiful? The walk, the stature.
Yeah, I can't see that in a photo.
That's motion.
Maybe you gonna have to send me a video. I mean, in the standstill.
The shoulders, the pecs.
I mean, but somebody else gonna have to take that photo. I mean, unless he's really good in his selfie game. But
Y'all got 2 tripods in here.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true.
I have a question. What is your take on making homemade videos?
Do it. Do
Yes.
it. But the crux to every single thing, whatever you do, is you have to know who you're doing it with. Do you trust this person? Are they going to do revenge porn on you? Are they going to send it to their homies or their girls and kiki it up, right? So if you really trust and like this person, I'm not opposed to people playing experiments and having fun, right? But also, too many people send things unsolicited.
Too many unsolicited photos.
No loyalty.
Yeah.
No friendship.
I'm putting this out there. Every penis picture I've ever received that I did not want, it goes in my group chat and we rate it and we go off on y'all.
Oh.
We go off.
Size queen. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't. And my thing is, like, some of these men, they send their penises at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Baby, I'm just waking up. The Lord just woke me. Why do you think that's the first thing I want to see? Your feet ashy, the background trash. Like, you didn't even artistically think this through. Make it make sense, people. People with the penises, make it make sense.
She's not lying. She's not lying.
Because, like, you're working with something, but then it's like, well, do you have a relationship with lotion? Do you have any form of relationship with moisturizer?
No, they're bored.
I'm sorry, that was my little soapbox
No,
moment.
you're not wrong.
Baby, get something.
Cocoa.
Crisco, something. Margarine, ghee, something. Baby, do something.
Can't believe it's not lotion.
Lotion is not every black person's friend. You know?
No.
It's too absorbent.
Yes, and you still end up ashy. You done took up a whole bottle of Jergens. You still can't figure it out.
If the first ingredient is water, do not buy it.
Facts. It's not going to work on your skin, boo. It ain't going to do nothing. It's going to glide right the hell off.
It's the world we live in, though. We're very much sex obsessed. And if we think about it, we'll just shoot it off. And now that you sent me something, you expect me to send you something.
No, baby.
No, but people don't think that way, right?
Yeah.
People will still send it because they feel obligated.
But how did we get to this place of boldness? Because when we had modems and internet first came out, people weren't doing this shit on chat. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like
people were doing worse.
Yes, they
things
were.
on chat.
They were?
Girl, yeah.
Oh.
ASL.
Okay.
Oh, no. Boy, I wasn't. I just was talking to people. I ain't said nothing. With what camera? What the hell? With your Kodak? Y'all was being nasty?
Remember they had the USB that you had to plug into the...
Oh,
yeah, that was the real... Talk about a backup.
Oh,
and phone sex was big back then.
Oh, you don't want to deny. I mean, I feel like that's better than just sending genitalia.
It's also a really good song.
Yeah.
Shout out to something for the people, yeah.
I need to hear that now.
Oh.
It's a vibe.
Check it out.
I want to talk to you about, like, hypnotherapy because I feel like, one, you don't see a lot of black people in that space, and then you'll hear, like, I don't want them people on my head and all this other stuff. But what are some of the tools that actually can work for? Like, what issues, like, would it be good for?
It can be good for anything. It's really common with, like, weight loss, smoking cessation, medical hypnosis, right? So for people who are allergic to anesthesiologists, if you see someone who's trained, you want to see someone who's trained in medical hypnosis, that can happen. What people are familiar with is stage hypnosis, right?
Oh.
So that whole cluck like a chicken bit. The key to that is nobody under hypnosis does what they don't want to do. on some level.
So they want to cluck like a chicken.
Essentially, right?
Yeah, okay.
But also part of that with stage hypnosis is they select someone who would be a viable candidate to really play along with it, you know? So that's the biggest thing, is hypnosis is not designed to really get into your psyche and do something terrible. That's actually very abusive. Right? So you do want someone who's trained. You do want to know more about them. You do want to have the conversation with them. But just like anything else, it's going to require work and effort afterwards.
So, quick example for the people that want to lose weight. What is something like? What would be a technique that you would use?
It depends on how they need to lose weight. If
I want to lose weight now,
right,
today,
but like if that
yesterday.
means,
I'm joking.
if that means that they need to shift their eating habits, if that means they need to be more mobile, right? So I want to identify what is not working for you, and then we come up with the idea of what is going to be helpful. What is the message that we're going to be inviting for you, so that now, instead of you being like, oh, I can't do it, or nothing ever works, we have an idea, we have what we call an anchor, which is going to be like, what is the reminder for you until the next time we meet? And ideally you need multiple sessions, right? Smoking cessation, we might say, all right, bring in your pack of cigarettes and really kind of like symbolically throw it away, empty it out kind of thing. So really it's equal parts articulation and subconscious, but there's also this idea of symbolic interaction, right? What is going to create meaning for you to create this change?
Okay. Well, I could talk to you for forever. I can just prick your brain all day. But I just really appreciate you coming out and just talking to us. Please come to the show anytime and read us fulfilled.
I love it here. I appreciate you too, both of you. Thank you.
Yeah, so please come again anytime. So for our Ask to Read this week, it is actually not going to be me talking, because we actually have a professional licensed therapist in here. So it's going to be Ask Desiree for today. So Sade wants to know, what are some examples of when a person is being gaslighted, and how do you respond when somebody is doing that to you?
First off, you have to recognize that it's gaslighting what they're doing, right? Gaslighting is kind of this way of, in my opinion, flipping the script so that now you're in the wrong, right? Now you're the one who's crazy. And so recognizing, how does this conversation derail? How did this even happen? And really understanding, if you're in defense mode, bring it back a few paces, right? Tune into what's happening with your body. Are you really trying to articulate the sentiment or the message that you need to, or are you just trying to power struggle with this person, right? So gaslighting, if you all have been paying attention to what's her name, Sharon Osbourne.
Oh yeah, Lord jeez.
You know, Piers Morgan. That kind of stuff is gaslighting.
Yeah.
All of this idea of, well, you can't cry because you've hurt my feelings, and you've made me a racist because I support a race. Wow. You know, that's a really good example of what gaslighting can look like, trying to make you wrong instead of taking the heat, or understanding, being open to the conversation, right? And sometimes you have to take a step back. It depends on the context. You can be professional, like Cheryl Underwood was. You can pacify someone, or you can be like, oh, we can't make this make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And when they do that, what do you do? Like, if someone is gaslighting you, how do you defend yourself, essentially?
That's what I'm saying. You don't defend yourself. Because what are you doing? Like, you cannot if somebody is gaslighting you, that's an intentional mechanism. You're not going to prove to them all of a sudden that, oh, your perspective is the right one. They're in deep defense. You're not QAnon. They're in deep. You're not going to convince them of anything, right? It's this recognition that you're now in a power struggle and you're going to lose.
Lose.
Yeah.
Well, Sade, I hope that works out for you.
Yeah.
And I hope that helped. So for our words of wisdom this week is, there is no greater agony than bearing a untold story inside of you. And that is by Dr. Maya Angelou. Baby, the words kind of already carry themselves, but you ain't going to do shit if you are holding on to things that God has blessed you with. Release it. Yeah. Confirmation to release. I don't know who this is for. I'm speaking to somebody right now. This is your confirmation to release, because holding on to that, you will not change nothing. And you were not put on this earth for yourself. You were here to bless others. So release. I want to thank everyone for coming today. I appreciate all the love.
Ashe.
And I'll see y'all actually tomorrow. We got a double feature. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bitch, let's talk.